The #1 secret to growing a lot of fish in your backyard is oxygen. You have to get control of the oxygen. Fish breathe just like us, but in the air it's 20 parts per 100 or 200,000 parts per million in the air. In water it's only about 7 to 10 parts per million. Now fish don't need a lot of oxygen, but they do like a lot, like some. So here's a question for you. If you are having trouble breathing and you can't get quite enough oxygen, would you want to go eat something? Probably not. It's the same way with the fish. When they go to eat something, they get frenzied. They exercise a little bit trying to get to that food, and when they eat, when they digest, their metabolism rises, and they expend a little more energy, and they need oxygen to fuel that process of metabolizing the energy. So, if you want them to get to eat a lot, so if you raise the oxygen level, they eat more often, and they grow faster. I've seen fish go, be raised to market size in 3 months in this process. It's very doable. So, oxygen in the water is the key difference. Most of the time oxygen gets in the water from photosynthesis, right? Algae in the water, takes in carbon dioxide and turns it into oxygen, or gives off oxygen as it breathes. It makes sugars with the energy, carbohydrates and oxygens, and the oxygen is a byproduct. So it takes that in, and algae provides most of the oxygen in the water. Now some of it is diffused from the air through wave action and stuff, but not very much. So the biggest problems you have is when the algae isn't getting sunlight. It's not able to convert that, and it's not able to do the photosynthesis to put that oxygen in the water. So the biggest problem you're going to have is at night. You're going to need oxygen at night. Now you can use blowers, right, which are basically air diffusers, and you're just pumping in regular air, right? But that's going to take a long time, and it takes a long time to normalize the change, right? So what's much better is to use pure oxygen, right? Get an ultra-fine, as small a micron bubble diffuser as you possibly can, and there's some that are made of metal that go down to 2 micron size bubbles, which are so small that they act more as fluid in the water, and they don't actually really float up to the surface, so that you get the most dissolved oxygen into that water. There's guys that at big commercial fisheries that super oxygenate water to 100 parts per million, pumping into a 20 by 40 foot pond 3 feet deep, and it disperses to everywhere in the pool really fast, and it brings the oxygen level up to 12 to 15 parts per million. That's all you got to do is bump it up 5 parts per million, and they will eat more. There's been studies where you have fish with very low oxygen levels, and they put food in front of them, and they don't really go for the food, right? And then a little bit more oxygen, they go for it more, right? When they're up to 25 parts per million, which is, you're spending a lot of oxygen for, and it costs money to get this oxygen, so you don't want it at 25 parts per million. But at 25 parts per million, the fish sit there and they eat all day, So, you don't need to do that, but if you get it to 12 to 15 parts per million, these fish will go crazy, and you will have lots of fish in your backyard in a small system.